My name is Mike Butler. I'm an architectural photographer. 10 years ago, I made one of my most unforgettable trips to Bogota, Colombia, to photograph the Virgilio Barco Library. Outrageously big, complex in its structure, and brilliant in its setting. This was an impossible dream I was determined to achieve. The project started in Miami, coordinating with my crew. Doc, we're going to be a few minutes late, so figure it's about 6:30 at the American Airlines departure gate upstairs. Okay, well, we'll see you there. Well, we're a little bit nervous on this one. This is, I'm bleeding money on this in terms of the budget up to the next level, and so I think we're all a little bit nervous at this point. So we hope it all goes well, logistically and aesthetically. So one of the first things that happened to us was at Miami International Airport, when I'm checking in with all of my bags, laden right up to the 100-pound mark. Because I had read, sort of quickly, that there was a media rate to Colombia, but that was only for domestic travel. And I was so busy at the time, I didn't really look into the details. Yeah, these right here, these are gonna be maybe over 100 pounds. Close to it. One of the major players on this project was a lighting equipment, because it was essentially a lighting project, right? To light the library. So all of that equipment had to be scheduled out and taken to Colombia, not noticing that it's only for domestic travel. So when I got there with my 90-pound bags, all of them, I got like a super shocker $1,200 excess baggage fee, which like blew the budget to oblivion. So I got there, sure that I was going to pay $300, $400 most for these bags, and got absolutely nailed with a $1,200 fee. Because I knew it was $1,200 going and it was $1,200 coming back, so that was like super sucky right off the bat. So I was super stressed out at the airport thinking, wow, this is going well.
Your seatbelt is fastened and adjusted. Your seat back is in the upright position.
And you see, this project was self-financed and driven by 3 people, myself, Esteban Pisa, and Fania Castro.
The way this project started, with the visit with Mike to the little project in Colombia and taking it around in a touristy way and start just mutating into something bigger and bigger by starting to create this project, photographic project.
Fania was one of the 3 linchpins in this project. Dialogue with Colombia, did the meetings, did the footwork, paperwork, translations, cultural exchanges, made sure that when I went to Colombia, that I was meeting with the right people, that they understood what I was telling them and I understood what they were telling me.
Mi nombre es Esteban Pisa, soy arquitecto, egresado de la Universidad Nacional y participé en la parte de gestión para desarrollar el proyecto de la Virgilio Barco con Mike Butler.
Diego is the 3rd person in a triad of people that put this project together.
Pusimos todo el empeño para gestionar los contactos y los permisos y así nos involucramos todos en este proyecto y podemos sacarlo adelante.
The first time I was in the Virgilio Barco Library, we were doing scouting of various locations. And this was the last one. And Diego had told me, wow, this is a location you need to check out. I think this is one you're gonna like. And I'd already seen a couple cool locations. There was the National University, and then we'd taken a look at something in the center of Bogota. But when I showed up at the Virgilio Barco Library, I was just like, wow. And this was a library. I'd never seen a library like this big. And this was a monument to books, if there ever was one. And honestly, I kind of thought to myself, well, of course this is never going to happen. I mean, how are we even going to get permission to shoot this thing?
When we exposed the project and trying to just get some sort of like initial approval, we were told that it was impossible, and we felt very discouraged. Actually, to the point that somebody told us that the only way this project will happen is if we get the approval from the Minister of Education.
And I'm thinking, yeah, of course we're never going to get that. I have no idea where I'm even at, more or less, where I'm going to find the Minister of Education to sign off on my little project.
Luckily, we have the help from Diego and especially Fernando, which is a person that works in Colombia with different social programs.
Recibí una invitación de Esteban Pisa, que venía trabajando con Mike y su equipo, y que tenían interés en hacer un registro de la obra de Rogelio Salmona, de alguna de las obras de Rogelio Salmona.
Duramos aproximadamente 8 meses para sacar el permiso, toda vez que necesitábamos estar aquí en la biblioteca durante una semana y que la biblioteca estuviera totalmente desocupada para nosotros durante ese tiempo en la noche. Era una cosa que nunca se había hecho y por lo tanto fue un poco complejo sacar el permiso. Sin embargo, el trabajo de Mike es tan bueno que pudimos convencer a las personas que trabajan en el distrito y que se involucraran en el proyecto y nos pudieran ayudar tanto con seguridad como con los permisos para desarrollarlo.
And you know, there is no better feeling than to approach the Minister of Education and actually have a positive response for him.
For any big project, you need to essentially, you need to do a scout to understand the space and to draw out the schematic of how you're going to light it, how many lights you're going to need, and what the positions are going to be, and also where the outlets are there's going to a generator going to be needed, where's that generator going to have to be, because these are calls that you don't really want to be making on site necessarily. But what we were doing is basically shooting, you know, say 8 lights, move the lights, shoot 8 lights, move the lights, shoot 8 lights, shoot the lights again. And I think for some of the bigger shots, you're talking 30, 40 lights used in total, if you were to add them all up. 40,000 watt DPs burning, even on dimmers, are gonna take a huge amount of electricity. So you're able to keep it either just running off a couple circuits, and with the generator, we had a 6K generator, did plenty of power. So that's how we lit the building.
Is to come across and hit this sector over here. Sector, I don't know what sector. Come to the second story where you're coming. Keep moving, Dan. And Craig, reduce the intensity of that light a little bit, maybe by 5%. And Dan, you're gonna hit the 3rd level terrace, rounded thingamabobber here. Dawn is approaching in about 40 minutes, and we all feel like the bottom of my shoe. Not really sure what happened.
What do you feel? Tired?
I feel like someone kicked me in the face like 6 times. And I'm not really sure what day it is anymore. This is day 1. This is day 5. 5 days. Not looking to find you. She didn't even make it to the first night. This is gonna be a rough 5 days.
Good morning.
One of the huge challenges for everybody was the altitude. The altitude in Bogota is something like 8,000 to 8,500 feet. And my entire crew, including myself, are from sea level. And I don't care how good a shape you're in, that's a lot of altitude to be dropped into, especially when you're working all night long and trying your best to sleep during the day in kind of a new environment, a new culture.
My name is Craig. I'm an architectural photographer in Miami.
Anybody that knows Craig will say absolutely the guy is a character.
Mr. Craig Dennis here
Is
is eating
chocolate.
Unorthodox Colombian snacks.
And he brought such a great vibe to the shoot, and we're so happy he had them.
The story goes, I worked as an assistant to Mr. Butler for a good number of years for this Colombia job. I was at a transition point in my life, moving from assistant to full-time photographer, which takes time, and that's all I got for that.
Burn. Feel the burn.
Who is Dan? That's what we all want to know. Dan is kind of an enigma. He's one of the best assistants I've ever worked with, and he certainly is one of the best in the industry. He knows his lighting, he knows his cameras, and he gets it done. No questions asked. Dan is a rock. Beautiful.
Day 3.
Death strikes the crew.
Doc is feeling off,
Craig
whatever
is
that means.
Down.
And Craig is down. Oh, he put his glasses on for the shot, nonetheless.
Man, you don't want to see what this looks like.
This cat woke up this morning. This guy was throwing up something severe. I thought we had to take this cat to the hospital.
I've thrown up like that since 2003.
Vomitous rampage over here. We got him some Pedialyte. Try to nurse him back to some semblance of health when we return him to the U.S. in the same condition we took him. That's questionable.
I think I'm getting this ball rolling again. With any luck. I gotta drink this shit.
When we set up the reflection shot for the first time, it being, I think, maybe our first exterior shot, it started to rain like crazy.
Shooting or what, man?
It is pouring rain.
You know, with the rain, we saw it coming, and we finally initially set up one of our scrims on top of the laptop, but then the other people came in and dropped over a plastic tarp, and it's a good thing because it really poured down. So we're sort of stuck under this tent where it's just pouring down rain, and the camera's got a flag over it, then a plastic bag, and at some point I tried to figure I could maybe pull off the dust shot if I could just open the lens up and have the lens shoot out of the plastic bag, but it's just raining too much. It's kind of difficult to switch gears very quickly because you have all the equipment lined up, ready to go. It's like a little bit of an army. If you move the army in the wrong place, you've got to move everything over to the next location. Wet and cold. Shot 1, dusk, and it's raining. And at that point, we had to like totally switch my gears and decide what the hell am I going to do. Now we have an issue with the weather that it's begun to rain, even though we're here in January. We've waited all year for this particular month because it's supposed to be dry, but because of El Nino, it's quite wet. And so we're going to have to sort of figure out a way around this rain for the exterior shots.
Trying to shoot under the rain.
Oh my goodness. Craig just messed his light up.
Is it better?
No. Put it back where it was, however, more to the left and flooded out and more detail.
One technique that I used quite a lot is using textural lighting. You'll see a lot of lights these days is very frontal lighting. Takes the shadows down, takes a lot of the relief of the product down. But I like the texture. I like to see the curvature of something. In architecture, you certainly want to see that, right? And so a lot of the lighting's done with a textural style. in the bushes taking pictures.
This is a very hard work. Dan sick, Craig sick, Fania sick, I am sick. Okay.
I've never lost 2 assistants on one shoot before. I basically lost everybody.
Yeah, but this is one chance, no more.
And reset them behind the initial terrace up there. So we're gonna put that light back where it started, and take the other light and put it next to that one. So these images essentially represent my idealized version of the space, of the exterior of Virgilio Salmona's architecture. And I think the interpretation, really the essence of this idea, is born through in the reflection shot, where I curated that shot down to the last nanometer and spent a lot of time piecing that thing together and shooting it, because you had to shoot it in just the precise way in order for everything to fit together. It was really the biggest puzzle of the whole entire shoot.
Una obra así pensada permite ciertas libertades, o mejor las exige. Exige, por ejemplo, componer un plan maestro a partir de espacios abiertos, con transparencias, con sesgos y luminosidades, recogidas por los muros o el agua que la recorre. Este proyecto está pensado no solamente para el presente, sino y sobre todo para el futuro. No puedo, por consiguiente, equivocarme.
Rogelio era un ser realmente excepcional, desde todo punto de vista. O sea, era una persona contestataria, impulsiva, convencida de lo que la arquitectura podía hacer para transformar la vida y la ciudad. Era un apasionado y toda esa pasión se la dedicó realmente a mejorar las condiciones de vida de la gente, de la ciudad, de los entornos a través de la arquitectura, que era lo que él sabía hacer.
The same way you'll say as Gabriel García Márquez embodies the literature of Colombia and Macondo and all these ideas of magical realism, I feel it kind of parallels the idea of Virgilio Salmona creating these sinuous and organic shapes with bricks and materials that are inherent to Colombian geography.
Y se encontró con un grupo de niños pequeñitos de colegio y alguien les dijo que él era el arquitecto. Entonces los niños empezaron a perseguirlo, ¿no? Y él pues sintió que lo estaban persiguiendo y se volteaba y todos se quedaban quietos. Entonces él seguía y caminaba y otra vez se volteaba y entonces empujaron a uno de los niños. Usted le dice. Y entonces el niñito llegó y le decía, es que no queremos felicitarlo, queremos darle las gracias por esta biblioteca. ¿Por qué usted pensó en los niños? Le decían, ¿no? Entonces él realmente eso lo conmovía.
Virgilio Salmona had a saying. He said that bad architecture is torn down, great architecture turns into ruins. And this is great architecture. One day maybe it's ruins, right? I don't know. But these images, I hope, as one artist's vision of what this library was, I hope 1,000 years from now somebody sees the images and feel what it was like to be there. On to the show right now. They've got the prints out. We're going to take a look at them. They look really good from this distance. Wow. Oh my God. Wow.
Ok, ya voy para allá. Wow.
Y ese resultado cumple la expectativa de, además de lograr ser montado en el Parque La 93 en un gran evento entregado a la ciudad y que fue absolutamente maravilloso como lo recibieron los ciudadanos.
As you see, they're displayed here in the park for everybody to see, which is going to be amazing for both Bogota, the library, and myself, of course. It gives exposure to everybody and allows them to see really just what we did there. And you can see all the details. You can actually see right on into the library itself. And the thing that I really like about this is what I see in Photoshop. This is what I Photoshop down to. And so to have the images shown this way really gives the life to the images as I wanted them.
These pictures show a representation of what we think is beautiful, but it's one idea, one static frame of many ones that everybody can explore and feel. And this is the beauty of these projects, is to show one static frame or something that we consider absolutely beautiful.
My idealistic vision of the images with an idealism of architecture and what society can be through Virgilio Salmona's eyes and work. Just lend your hand, and you may get bitten, but lend your hand again. And in the end, amazing things can happen. And I think in a very small way, these images are a testament to that idea. That if you have a vision and you believe it's good and you open your mind and your soul and your hands, it can happen. You can make it happen.
Last day in Bogota, trying to get all this equipment by ourselves into the plane.
About half of it.
There's half of it, and there is more there.